There's nothing quite like an interview to turn the normally consummate professional into a blithering wreck. What is it about that situation that makes us talk such rubbish? Fortunately, I've got some career player friends who gave me their top tips on how to not balls up an interview.
Prior planning and preparation prevents poor performance.
Ultimately, come prepared. Know about the business that you're going to see, know about the industry as a whole, know about the latest news items, have an opinion as well. It's very much, I think it's very important to come in with an opinion. There's no right or wrong answer. If there is a right or a wrong answer, it doesn't matter if you've got the wrong answer, but be able to back it up, be able to demonstrate some thinking behind it.
Before, I've interviewed people who, when I've asked them perhaps what's gone on in the marketplace in the last week, they've got no idea. So if you want to come into the industry, do a lot of research, do a lot of reading.
Make sure that you've done a little bit of research and that you've actually practiced. If you're going to do a presentation, actually put some time aside, practice, rehearse. It will make you feel a lot more comfortable and a lot less nervous.
It's first impressions. You want to stand out. Always, turn up smart.
I think big turn-offs in interviews are arrogance and ignorance. Arrogance because there's nothing worse than people showing up who think they know it all and they're not prepared to listen, they're not prepared to adapt their point of view and their opinion to what they hear. And ignorance because if you don't do your homework, it shows straight away and is unforgivable.
So I get it, preparation is the key, but what exactly should you be preparing?
Make sure you know your application inside and out because this will form the basis of your interview.
You will always get asked why you want to apply to X firm when you're applying.
Most interviews will always ask you about what challenges you faced, what's your motivation. So you can always prepare these kind of questions in advance. Don't recite an answer that you've learnt off by heart, but at least have some ideas in your head so that when you get asked that question, you don't become completely flummoxed and don't have an answer.
Try and find out the key criteria. And the way to do that is by reading a lot of the company publications. So if you read enough of the company publications, you'll finally find something and it will be called the key global skills or, the key global behaviours. And there will be a list of about 8 things. And they'll be kind of fluffy to an extent, but they will have substance behind them.
Look for the examples that you can bring. Whether it be from work experience, from activities you've done at university. How can you demonstrate these competencies that they're looking at?
The best method to follow in order to answer a competency question is the STAR method. To think about the situation, the task, the action and the result.
The thing is, they've seen your super CV and they know you've got the skills they need, so why do they need to quiz you like this?
Your CV may be fantastic and you may be the world's biggest brain. If you don't come across as somebody who, at the end of the day, they might want to go to the pub for a beer with, or they might want to chat a case through with, then they're not going to offer you a place.
It comes down to people's personalities. You get the right person and you teach them how to do the job. And someone who's got the right attitude will, and the right applicable, the kind of mindset and attitude that they can do anything, will do anything.
Don't be afraid to be yourself. I mean, half the time they're looking for a personality fit, so you need to know that you'd get on well in that company as well as them knowing that they would like you to work there.
The second part of that really is sort of caution not to rely or not to try and rely too much on the force of your own personality, because a lot of people think that just by being themselves and by showing how how wonderful they are, that's going to be music to the ears of the interviewer, but it often isn't.
What I would encourage anybody to do is not to try to be somebody that they're not. It's tempting to try to develop some kind of persona that you think might be attractive to an employer, but in fact, it's very easy to see through that, and I think people have got to be themselves.
It shouldn't just be, I'm going to impress this person and make them want to hire me. It should be, you've got to think about it to an extent as an equal footing. I want to go in here and I'm going to be calm because I want to know about them. I want to know if I want to do this job and if I'm going to be happy in that environment. Because you don't want to end up somewhere committing to a graduate scheme and after 2 months you don't want to do it.
A lot of people have these wonderful CVs and they have all of these wonderful A's and all the rest of it is marvellous, and you send the CV in and, oh, this guy looks great, this girl looks great, get them in. And they arrive and they're a plank. And they sit there and they're scared and they don't say much and they give one-word answers, or even worse, they've read the company's annual report backwards, and they trot out these lines that don't mean anything like a robot. And all of this wonderful potential that you saw in this CV turns into this very robotic, very unimaginative, and actually very uninspiring performance.
Sometimes nerves do get the better of you, and you just can't think fast enough.
Never be afraid to pause. If somebody says, what do you think about so-and-so, you shouldn't be frightened to give it a moment's thought and to say, if necessary, let me think about that.
Keep looking at the interviewer. The interviewer is often a good source of information, actually, because if they're getting bored, if the eyes are going slightly, all right, cut. Let's get out of this one. I've done enough.
Be prepared to take the conversation to the interviewer. So be prepared to lead the conversation. So rather than sitting back and waiting for the next question to be asked and trying to get your answer out as quickly as you can, take the opportunity to lead the conversation, lead the debate, ask questions of the interviewer. As long as that doesn't come across as too aggressive, as long as you kind of manage to sort of do it in a way which doesn't make someone sit back in their chair and think what the hell they've got on their hands.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket, and then if you go into an interview, and Aaron as well, because you know when you apply, you don't just apply to one place. So when you go into an interview, it's not the be-all and end-all.
Sometimes an interview, the right outcome is you're not right for this job. Phew, thank goodness, you know, that would have been terrible.
So the single top tip is, if you get sat the other side of the table from me or anybody else, look like you mean it, look like you want it. If I can see it in the eyes, if you can see that level of enthusiasm, that focus, that drive, that commitment, that energy, that's someone I can see rolling their sleeves up, learning what they need to learn, and making a shot of this job. That's someone you can see yourself sitting next to every day.
Personality goes a long way, but not far enough it would seem. Nothing replaces good old-fashioned preparation. It's also the best known cure for nerves.